Who are the key players in making sure that free and accessible education is guaranteed to our students? Incorporating free and accessible education as a guiding principle typically requires change in education systems. So somebody, probably at the policy level, has to make sure that the principles of education change. How we educate today should not be the same as how we were educated years ago. And this change process is frequently faced with several challenges. It involves important shifts and changes at the systems level as well as the societal level. So not only do we need to change the system in the classroom, which is education, but we also need to change the mindset of society. The people who think girls shouldn't get a good education, or people who think children with disabilities, why waste time and money on them? That has to change. Even those individuals can be contributing members in our society. It is important to note that these change processes towards free and accessible education often begin at small scale and involve overcoming some obstacles such as any change, not just here, any change begins in small incremental steps. Nothing is going to change drastically overnight. And if this change happens in small steps and each step leads to the next step, I think success will be guaranteed. What are the obstacles to overcoming this? Existing attitudes and values. This is existing attitudes and values of individuals, of society members in general, of parents, of teachers, of administrators, of policymakers. Lots of these individual groups can actually come together and they need to change their attitudes and values. Lack of understanding. We just don't understand why education is important. And that lack of understanding is an obstacle. Trying to make sense to parents why educating girls is as important as educating boys is critically important, because if only boys receive an education, still mothers of the future are not getting an education today. And as a young child, the initial infancy developmental years are spent with the mother. Imagine a child who spends this time with a mother that's educated versus a mother that is not. Lack of necessary skills. People think we are inadequate. We don't have the skills. Well, skills can be developed. So if you don't have the skills, don't make that an obstacle. Go and learn. Develop those skills and then use those skills. Limited resources. And money is a resource. Human elements is a resource. Teachers and administrators should be seen as a resource. If these are limited, well, what does one do? There's a lot you can do even with limited resources. Don't make that an obstacle. Take the next step. It's not as if you have nothing. You have something. It's limited. Make the most of it. Inappropriate organization. We have a lot of hierarchical things within our education system also, which we really don't need. Get rid of this irrelevant, inappropriate, unwanted hierarchical rankings in our education system. Some dimensions of educational change must be measured. Such measurements include direct benefits to children. How are the children, how are the young people benefiting directly by being in a classroom? This can't be done over a week, a month, a year. This is a longitudinal study. It will take many years to see how a student today in school does better 10 years from now. Wider impact on policies, practices, ideas, and beliefs. What impact? As more children get to school and as more children walk out successful at the other end of school, what impact does this have on policies, practices, ideas, and beliefs? These children, the next generation, we will not have to make sure that those new parents at that time are going to send their children to school. They will, because they have seen the benefit of education in their own lives. Some dimensions of educational change must be measured. Here's more. Enhance children's participation. Are more children participating, contributing on their own? That is a sign of progress. Strengthened partnerships and improved collaboration between ministries at the national and local level of government and at the community level. Are people willing to come together? The common man with the government people. Are NGOs, governmental organizations, individuals willing to work for the common good of young people in our society? Development and strengthening of the education system, technology and pedagogy to include all learners. Yes, I think technology, the computer world, the virtual world will make a difference, and of course pedagogy. And pedagogy is everything and anything that happens in a classroom. Those skills will need to be developed. Teachers, parents, communities, school authorities, curriculum planners, training institutes, and entrepreneurs in the business of education are among the actors that can serve as valuable resources in support of free and accessible education. So you see, that's practically your entire society. Nobody is left out. Education impacts all, and all should be willing to impact education for the future. Some, teachers, parents, and communities, are more than just a valuable resource. They are the key to the inclusion process because they are actually in the classroom trying to include all students no matter where they come from. It is the classroom teacher who has the utmost responsibility for the pupils and their day-to-day learning. But at the same time, it is also the responsibility of the Ministry of Education to ensure that school-accessible and child-centered programs are elaborated. If we don't have those programs that include the child, it's going to be very difficult for the teacher always to try and find participatory activities. So this is where the policymakers, the ministry, the curriculum writers, the textbook developers, those kinds of people need to come and play their part over here. Implemented and evaluated, the outcome of such programs will facilitate new incentives and ideas for teaching. How these ideas work today, how these programs grow, that is what's going to implement and make sure that future programs get better and better so that students receive not only an up-to-date quality education, but also are successful at achieving it.